Discover the incredible moment a lonely CEO transformed a nurse's life and her baby at a bus stop. The rain poured down in sheets, turning Oakwood's streets into glistening rivers. At the bus stop, Sarah stood, cradling her fussy baby, Ethan, in one arm and juggling her soaked bag with the other. She could feel the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. Her nursing scrubs were drenched, but the bitter cold didn't compare to the chilling stress of another long day ahead. Just 2 years ago, she dreamed of a comfortable life, but now, every day felt like a wade through murky waters. Her heart swelled with love for her son, yet the worry creased her forehead. Would they ever catch a break? Across town, Greg felt the weight of his corporate success. He drove his sleek car through the crowded streets, navigating to an important meeting, but could hardly focus on the road. Each accolade had led him to wealth, yet he felt more alone than ever. The emptiness haunted him, gnawing at his insides. With a sudden impulse, he steered away from his route and found himself at the bus stop, curious. That's when he noticed her, a symbol of relentless determination amidst despair. The sight of Sarah, her hair matted and fatigue etched on her face, stirred something deep within him. "Hey there, looks like you're fighting the weather," he said, a genuine smile breaking through his tension. Sarah looked up, surprised by his warmth. And just like that, a glimmer of hope sparked. She gave a small smile, the kind that didn't reach her eyes but flickered with possibility. "Yeah, it's a rough day." She shifted Ethan, who let out a small whimper. "Just trying to keep it together." One strained conversation led to another. They shared laughs over the weather, then dived deep as Sarah revealed her fears of raising a baby in this unforgiving economy. Her words flowed like the rain around them, each one a piece of her heart laid bare. Greg listened with rapt attention, realizing how little his own successes mattered when compared to the struggles faced by those like Sarah. Each syllable sent ripples of understanding through him, making the stark contrast between their lives painfully clear. Before they could fully connect, the world intruded violently. A breaking news alert blared from Greg's phone. As he scrolled down, his heart sank. A staggering scandal at his company had come to light, exposing negligent practices that left countless local families vulnerable, including Sarah's. Panic twisted in his gut. How could he face her after this? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. For a brief moment, time held its breath. Sarah's fear flashed in her eyes, mingling with confusion and distrust. Could she accept help from a man whose actions had contributed to her struggles? Yet, amidst the chaos, something shifted. They both realized that together, they might trust each other enough to tackle not just their own challenges, but the looming social divide in their town. As the rain continues to pour, the stakes are now higher than either could imagine. Could compassion knit two worlds together? The air between them thickened, the patter of rain providing a steady backdrop to their shared moment. Sarah's eyes darted from Greg's warm smile to the street, feeling the tension wrap around her like a heavy blanket. The news on his phone echoed in her mind. How could someone like him, with privilege and power, understand her reality? "Listen," he began, his voice more serious now, "I know things are rough. I can't let this go. I can't ignore what's happening." "Maybe you should," Sarah replied, defensively clutching Ethan closer. "You're part of the problem, aren't you?" Her heart raced as she spoke. She could see sympathy in his eyes, but it was hard to reconcile the man before her with the company he represented. Greg flinched at her words, which cut sharper than any criticism he'd ever received. "You're right," he admitted quietly. "And it's not that simple. I'm working on a way to change things, to make amends somehow." Sarah's breath caught. "And how do you plan to do that?" By throwing money at people like me? The bitterness in her voice surprised her, but she couldn't help it. Years of struggling to make ends meet seemed to pour out like a swelling river, desperate for release. No. Greg stepped closer, lowering his voice. I want to listen. To learn. You say you're just trying to hold it together, but what if we work together? What if I used my resources to actually help? She blinked at him, her skepticism battling with interest. Help? How could you possibly help me? He looked thoughtful, a spark igniting behind his eyes. I could create programs for single parents. Focus on fair wages. Better healthcare. A real support system. I know it sounds vague, but I need real voices, like yours, to guide me. Sarah waved her hand, shaking her head. I'm just trying to get by. Don't put this on me. I'm not asking you to solve it all, Greg replied passionately. But what if we teamed up? You know the struggles firsthand. Together, we could make change happen. She stared at him, bewildered, as raindrops cascaded from her hair and a fresh wave of determination rolled through her. And what do I get out of it? You think I'm supposed to trust a guy in a suit just because you say you want to help? The hurt in her tone tugged at him, and for the first time, he felt the barrier of privilege crashing down. You get a chance to use your voice, he said firmly. A chance to make a real impact. It's about time someone listened to you. Ethan cooed softly, snapping Sarah back to reality. She glanced at her son, feeling the fierce need to protect him. But beneath the layers of fear and anger, a seed of hope began to sprout. Was it possible? Could she allow herself to trust? Maybe I'll think about it. Her voice softened, reflecting vulnerability mingled with resolve. Greg nodded, a glimmer of respect in his eyes. I'll leave my card here. Take your time, but don't wait too long. Change doesn't happen by itself. As he placed the card gently in her hand, a bolt of electricity shot through her, igniting a flame of what could be a chance, a partnership, a way forward. The rain, relentless and fierce, slowed a moment as rays of sunlight fought through the gray clouds, illuminating the uncertain path ahead. That it was a small start, but both felt the shift. What they could create together suddenly felt immense, yet, as Sarah clutched the card tightly, a new worry began to carve its way into her heart. Was stepping into this unknown going to be worth the risk? As she looked up to meet Greg's gaze, she felt the weight of anticipation mixed with fear. What if their collaboration could inspire more than they had ever dreamed, but also expose vulnerabilities they dared not acknowledge? Would they truly have the courage to face the truth together? The rain began to dissipate, leaving a fresh scent in the air as Sarah stood frozen, card still clutched in her hand. Ethan babbled away in his stroller, blissfully unaware of the whirlwind of emotions swirling around his mother. She looked at Greg, the man who represented everything she had come to distrust, and yet here he was, extending an olive branch. Let me think about it, she said softly, her voice a tentative whisper. Greg's expression softened. Take your time. Just promise me you'll reach out if you decide to, he said, his smile returning, genuine and hopeful. Yeah, sure. The words felt hollow as they left her lips. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was standing on the edge of a precipice, staring into an abyss of possibility. Greg stepped back, looking at her with an intensity that made her heart race. I can't promise perfection, he said. I can, however, promise to try. With one last eye contact, almost like a silent vow, he turned and walked away, fading into the murky street. Sarah watched him go, feeling an odd sense of loss, as if a part of her had left alongside him. The card felt warm against her palm, but doubt crept in. A team-up? Was she really ready for that, ready to risk everything for something so uncertain? Her thoughts tangled with memories of late nights, of counting pennies while trying to keep a roof over their heads. Mommy? Ethan's tiny voice broke through her fog. He reached up, his little fingers stretching for her. Instinctively, she bent down and lifted him from his stroller, cradling him against her chest. Are we going home? Home. The word hit her like a wave. They had always gone to the same apartment, the same routines, but was that enough? With Greg, there was a chance to create something new, something better for Ethan, for herself. "Yeah, buddy," she whispered. "We're going home." As she took a step back, reality gripped her. Her life was a delicate balance of survival, constantly teetering on the brink. Yet, as she walked down the sidewalk, Ethan resting his head against her shoulder, a flicker of determination stood strong. The clouds began lifting, revealing patches of blue sky. With every step, Sarah could feel a small stir of courage weaving itself into her being. What if this was the moment she needed to break free from the shackles of the past? She pondered the prospect of reaching out, of taking that leap. What if Greg could truly help her voice resonate louder? She had spent so long fighting the world, but perhaps right now, with Ethan snuggled up close, she could explore the possibility of joining forces rather than standing alone. That night, unable to sleep, Sarah took the card from her nightstand. She turned it over and over in her hands, hoping for clarity, but all she felt was a mix of fear and anticipation. As dawn broke, a decision crystallized in her mind. A call to Greg might be in order. But just as she made her choice, the phone rang, jolting her from her thoughts. With a flutter of anxiety, she picked up her phone. "Hello. Sarah, it's Greg," came the voice, tinged with urgency. "I need to talk to you. Something urgent has come up." Her heart raced as she suddenly felt the weight of the world. What awaited them on the other side of this call? And would it be the push she needed to embark on this unexpected journey? "Sarah, I can't explain everything right now," Greg said, his tone serious. "But trust me, you'll want to meet me. It's about the project, and Ethan. Can you be here in 20 minutes? Her heart thudded in her chest. The urgency in his voice tugged at her gut, pulling her out of the warmth of her home and into the chill of uncertainty. "Where are you?" "Meet me at the old coffee shop on 5th. I'll explain everything when you get here." Before she could respond, the call cut off. "Mommy, who was that?" Ethan asked, peering up at her with wide, curious eyes. "It was just someone," she replied, forcing a smile that felt shaky at best. She quickly dressed him, her mind racing. Was this a mistake? Could she take Ethan into whatever chaos awaited them? After a few moments of internal wrestling, she took a deep breath. She could feel the pulse of courage growing inside her. "Okay, buddy, let us go on a little adventure." As they navigated through the streets, the world beyond her seemed to flicker with life. Cars zipped past, sidewalks bustled with people, and the city breathed, alive and vibrant. Yet, the closer she got to the coffee shop, the heavier her heart felt, weighed down by anticipation and fear. When she arrived, she spotted Greg pacing outside, hands shoved into his jacket pockets. He looked up and saw her, his brows furrowing with concern. "Thanks for coming," he breathed, relief washing over his face. "Now can you tell me what is going on?" Sarah demanded, her protective instincts flaring up. She held Ethan closer to her, shielding him from the sudden chill in the air. He leaned in, lowering his voice to a hush. "I didn't want to involve you like this, but I've uncovered something important. There's been some backlash regarding the project. I think you might be targeted." "Targeted? For what?" She felt the color drain from her face. "There are those who don't want your voice in this conversation. They want to silence you before you can have a chance," Greg explained, urgency flashing in his eyes. Sarah's breath caught. "But I'm just a nurse. What could I possibly exactly?" "That's why it's more important than ever you find your voice. But right now, they're looking to discredit you." "I can't let that happen," he said firmly. The revelation hit her hard. She had spent years quietly serving others, never considering that her insights could shake things up. "What do I do?" "What I propose is risky," Greg continued, his tone steady yet filled with determination. "But you could become the face of this initiative. I want you to present your experiences. It could change everything for families like ours. Ethan reached out for a crayon-like object on the table nearby, blissfully unaware of the grave conversation happening around him. Greg, I'm not sure we can't let them intimidate us. His eyes sparkled, and in that moment, something had shifted. There was a fire behind them, a shared passion that sparked new possibilities. The implication hung heavily between them. Could she really step into this new role? What would it mean for her and Ethan? Let us take this leap together, Greg urged, sincerity underlining every word. There's so much to gain. As she looked into Greg's earnest face, all the doubts began to murmur and fade. Perhaps this was the moment she'd been waiting for all along, the chance to rise above, to transform not just her own life, but Ethan's future as well. Just then, the bell above the coffee shop door chimed, drawing their attention. A figure stepped in, casting a long shadow across their tiny circle. It was someone she recognized but hadn't expected to see someone who could change everything. Sarah, the woman called out, her voice dripping with familiarity. We need to talk. What could she possibly want? Would this be the complication that pulled her back, or the key to unlocking everything? The question hung in the air, heavy and electric, begging for a resolution. The woman stepped forward, her heels clicking sharply against the wooden floor of the coffee shop, breaking the charged silence that surrounded Sarah and Greg. It was Dr. Laura Jameson, the bold and brilliant CEO of a prominent healthcare technology firm. They had crossed paths at conferences before, each one seemingly more intimidating than the last. Dr. Jameson. Sarah's voice trembled, equal parts disbelief and apprehension. What are you doing here? Laura's sharp gaze softened as she regarded Ethan, who tugged at Sarah's side with innocent curiosity. I heard about the project. I didn't think I would find you here, but this might be an important moment for both of us. Ethan, oblivious to the tension, leaned against his mother's leg, clutching a sticker he had peeled off the table. He was unaware of the weight of the conversation unfolding around him. Sarah felt the urge to shield him from everything that was about to unfold but also saw the flicker of opportunity in Laura's eyes. What do you mean by important? Greg asked, shifting uneasily, feeling the power dynamics change with Laura's presence. I've come to talk to you both about the initiative, she said, clasping her hands together. The backlash is real, and I can't let that cloud the potential of this project. We need a voice like yours, Sarah, and we just might have a way to make that happen. Sarah felt a rush of confidence mixed with anxiety. This was the moment she had dreamed of, an opportunity to share her insights on patient care and advocate for better healthcare systems. But could she bear the weight of it all? What are you suggesting? Sarah pressed, her voice steadying as the shock began to recede. Laura took a deep breath. I want you to come on board as an advocate for families in our upcoming campaign. We'll have media coverage, public forums, everything you need to make an impact. But, you'll also be in the crosshairs, and I need to know you're ready for that. Sarah's heart raced. She thought of the late-night feeds with Ethan, the sacrifices, the quiet resolve she'd nurtured over the years. I don't know if I can handle the spotlight, she admitted, feeling out of her element. It's more than just a spotlight, it's a chance to change lives, your life, Ethan's life, and countless others. Laura's gaze was unwavering. You'll have a team supporting you every step of the way. Greg frowned slightly, crossing his arms. But what about the targeting? Don't you think they'll come after her harder if she stands out? Let them, Laura shot back, her tone fierce. We can be ready. If we stand together, they can't intimidate us. You have fire within you, Sarah. You just need the right channel. The invitation dangled tantalizingly before Sarah, a vast stretch of potential filled with equal parts fear and exhilaration. Could she rise to the challenge? She looked into Greg's eyes, searching for reassurance. He nodded, that familiar spark igniting between them. Okay, Sarah said slowly, the word a whisper at first. I'll do it. Just then, the door swung open again, a gust of wind ushering in a man clad in a dark jacket. His eyes darted in their direction, scanning with a predatory intensity. Sarah's breath caught. Who was he? The atmosphere shifted like a storm approaching, each second stretching into tension. Sarah, he called out, his voice low and threatening. We need to talk now. What did he want, and how did he know her name? The hairs on the back of her neck prickled, instinct screaming that danger was closer than she thought. What had she stepped into, and would she be able to protect Ethan through it all? The man's voice cut through the coffee shop, and a chill raced down Sarah's spine. She glanced quickly at Laura, hoping for some indication of understanding, some reassurance that this was just a misunderstanding. But Laura's expression was unreadable, a mask of calm in a rising tempest. Who are you? Sarah asked, her voice trembling as she steadied Ethan behind her. Each heartbeat felt like a distant drum, all she could hear was the rushing in her ears. You know who I am, he replied, his gaze burning into hers with unsettling familiarity. We need to talk about what you're doing with the campaign. It's not safe for you. What do you mean it's not safe? Greg stepped forward, protective instinct kicking in, body tense. You have no right to come here and threaten her. The man's smirk was cold, a shadow creeping across his face. This isn't a threat, it's a warning. You're in over your head, and I can help you if you let me. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest as she took a small step back, trying to hide the tremor in her hands. Ethan's little fingers clutched her shirt tighter, sensing her anxiety. I don't need your help, she declared, trying to sound firmer than she felt. And you should leave. Walk away now, and you and your son will be fine, he said, leaning closer, lowering his voice conspiratorially. But get involved with Laura's project, and you'll wish you hadn't. The coffee shop buzzed with voices and laughter, but their small corner felt like a pocket of menace. Sarah inhaled sharply, feeling trapped, as if all the air had been sucked from the room. Could she risk everything for a campaign that could drag them into danger? Are you threatening my family? Greg retorted, fists clenched, a storm brewing behind his eyes. Because if you are, you'll regret it. The man pushed off the table, moving with a predator-esque grace. I'm not threatening anyone. I'm just making sure you understand the consequences. He turned back, one last lingering look at Sarah brimming with something dark. Think about it. This is bigger than you. You don't want to be on the losing side. He turned and slipped through the door, the bell jingling behind him, leaving a palpable weight of unease in the air. The chatter of the coffee shop resumed, but the energy had shifted. Sarah could feel the stares of those around them, a mix of curiosity and concern. Are you okay? Greg's voice broke through Sarah's daze. She nodded, though doubts swirled in her mind. Was she ready for this kind of fight? Laura stepped closer, her expression more serious now. Don't let him intimidate you. We have the chance to do something vital, and I believe in you. But you need to stay strong and focused. Sarah bit her lip, nerves coiling tight inside. The moment of possibility she felt earlier now felt fraught with danger. What if she couldn't handle the attack that was sure to come? But deep within, a flicker of resolve ignited. If not for herself, then for Ethan, for the mothers and families who needed change. I just want to protect Ethan, she whispered, fear threading her voice. You will, Laura said, resolve solidifying in her tone. But that means you have to stand up and be heard. This might be the moment we change everything. As adrenaline coursed through her, Sarah suddenly felt the weight of all the decisions ahead of her. How could she navigate this new world of threats and challenges, all while keeping her son safe? I'm in, she declared, her voice steadier than she felt. I'll do this, but I need to know what I'm getting into. Just then, a sudden flash from outside drew everyone's attention. A car skidding to a halt, doors flung open. Sarah's heart sank as figures poured out, uniformed and tense, heading straight for the shop. Stay close, Greg said, guiding Ethan protectively against the wall. What had she stepped into, and was this the beginning of a fight that would endanger them both? The uniformed officers burst into the coffee shop, their presence drawing every eye. The chatter faded to whispers and anxious glances. Sarah felt small under their scrutinizing gaze, clenching Ethan's hand tighter, her heart racing. The lead officer, a tall man with a square jaw and steely eyes, surveyed the room. "We're looking for a suspect. Has anyone seen a man fitting this description?" He flashed a photo of the man who had just left. His face, so familiar to Sarah, now evoked a deeper sense of trepidation. "Yeah, he just left," Greg interjected, his protective instinct kicking in, glancing at Sarah as if gauging her reaction. "He was the one who just spoke to her." The officer's expression shifted, curiosity peaking as he turned his attention to Sarah. "Are you the woman he was talking to? Did he threaten you?" Sarah hesitated, the weight of what had just transpired heavy on her shoulders. He warned me not to get involved with my friend's campaign." Her voice was shaky, the fear seeped through, yet the truth felt necessary. Protecting Ethan meant being honest about the issues that loomed over them. The officer nodded, jotting down notes quickly. "Thank you. We're just trying to keep everyone safe. This man is under investigation, but that doesn't mean he won't attempt to intimidate people related to our case." Laura stepped forward, her demeanor transitioning from support to urgency. "We need to get back to the project. If he's involved, we can't let fear control us. We'll go on with our plans. But what if he's dangerous?" Sarah exclaimed, panic rising. The idea of facing him again felt insurmountable. The officer, sensing her distress, tried to reassure her. "We'll have additional patrols in the area. If he approaches you again, call us immediately. And don't engage with him. Just walk away, understand?" Greg placed an arm around Sarah protectively as she nodded, grappling with the implications. She wanted to be brave. She wanted to take a stand for the community she believed in, but doubt gnawed at her. Could she really face the dangers ahead? "I can't just walk away," she whispered, the weight of responsibility darkening her spirit. "I have to do something for Ethan's future." The officer met her gaze, a flicker of respect crossing his face. "Then make sure you have a plan. Get people on your side who can protect you, and stay connected with Laura." As the officers moved toward the exit, Laura leaned closer, her voice a calming balm in the storm. "We can make a difference, Sarah. But you can't do it alone. Trust us, trust the community. We're here for you." Deep within, Sarah felt her resolve start to harden. She wasn't just acting for herself anymore, she was stepping into a role that mattered. Yet, as they prepared to leave the coffee shop, another thought crept in: what if this was just the beginning of something darker? Outside, a black car watched from afar, its windows tinted and its engine humming low. A figure inside shifted, lips curling into a knowing smile as they observed Sarah through the glass. Her heart sank again. Could they really keep Ethan safe, or would he become a target as their fight for change intensified? With every step she took out of the shop, Sarah felt as if a new thread had been woven into the fabric of her life, a thread leading into both hope and peril. "Let us figure this out together," she said resolutely, turning to Laura and Greg. They stood united, but unknown dangers loomed ever closer. What other secrets were hidden beneath the shadows of this campaign, and how deep did they truly run? The air outside was thick with unease, the cool breeze dancing around them as Sarah stepped into the sunlight, her heart pounding. The black car's silhouette loomed in her mind like a dark cloud. She glanced back, but the vehicle had vanished into the street as shadows. "Are you okay?" Greg's voice broke through her thoughts, concern etched across his face. "I don't know," Sarah admitted, pulling her sweater tighter around her shoulders. "What if he comes after us? What if he finds out we're digging into his past?" "Then we're ready," Laura said firmly, a spark igniting in her eyes. "We know the truth now. We know what he is capable of, and will keep each other safe. We can't hide forever." The words lingered in the air, echoing the old mantra of their campaign: fear should never silence hope. But despite Laura's assurance, Sarah felt the weight of responsibility closing in, tightening its grip around her chest. "Let us head to the community center," Greg suggested, breaking the tension. "We can regroup there. It's a public place, and if he's watching, it'll be harder for him to act." "Good idea," Laura nodded, glancing at Sarah. "You're not alone in this. We'll stand together." As they walked, Sarah's mind raced. Every footstep felt like a countdown, each echo a reminder of the stakes they faced. They passed familiar streets, each corner a symbol of the community she loved and wanted to protect. Yet, her heart was heavy with uncertainty. Would her actions put Ethan in harm's way? "I just want to keep him safe," Sarah murmured as they reached the entrance of the community center, the lively chatter inside a stark contrast to her worries. Once inside, she felt a wave of warmth wash over her. The smell of coffee mingled with laughter, enveloping her in a comforting embrace. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling of vulnerability. Were they really prepared for what lay ahead? "Hey!" A voice broke into her thoughts. It was Mia, a childhood friend and fellow activist. Her bright smile lit up the room. "We heard what happened at the coffee shop. Are you okay?" I'm working through it," Sarah said, forcing a smile. She briefly explained the encounter with the man, leaving out the darker thoughts swirling in her mind. Mia placed a supportive hand on her shoulder. "You're strong, Sarah. Everyone here is behind you. We're all in this together." The room began to fill with others from the neighborhood, rallying around the campaign and planning their next steps. Slowly, as people shared their stories of courage and resilience, Sarah felt a spark of hope ignite within her, but as she listened, a voice in her head whispered doubts. With eyes wandering to the windows, a chill snaked down her spine. Would the man come here to silence their efforts? Would his influence stretch even into this safe haven? "Let us meet back on the main points," Laura called out, directing the group's attention. "We need strategy. We can't let fear stop us, and we won't allow him to intimidate us." As voices joined in spirited debate, Sarah clung to Laura's strength, feeling her resolve begins to rekindle. The community was rising, buoyed by collective hope, and she was part of it. "Let us write up a plan," Greg suggested brightly, pulling out a notepad. "We need to map out all we can do to counteract him: fundraisers, awareness events, and what to do if he comes back." Just then, Sarah noticed something out of the corner of her eye. A figure lingered at the window, watching, cloaked in shadows. Her breath caught in her throat. "Ready?" Laura whispered, sensing Sarah's anxiety. Sarah swallowed hard, her thoughts racing back to the man's smile, the stillness of the black car. "We need to be ready," she replied, her voice steadying. As they turned to their plans, Sarah felt the stakes rise higher, a realization dawning on her. They might be confronting something much larger than they had anticipated. But the fight for hope and change had never felt so urgent. What if this was only the beginning? Who were they truly up against, and how far would they go to silence them? The minutes felt like hours as Sarah kept her gaze locked on the shadowy figure outside, her heart quickening with each passing second. Was it just her imagination? Or was he really here, watching, waiting? "Sarah." Greg's voice was soft but firm, pulling her from her thoughts. "What is going on? You look like you've seen a ghost." She tore her eyes away from the window and forced a smile, but the unease remained. "I thought I saw someone, a figure. He was just outside." Instantly, the conversation stopped. Laura stepped closer, her expression serious. "You mean that man? The one from the coffee shop?" The room buzzed with whispers and exchanged glances. Everyone felt the weight of those words. They were aware that Sarah had faced danger, and now uncertainty crept into the hearts of those gathered. "I think we should. I don't know, maybe we should call the police," Mia voiced, her brows knitted with worry. "No," Sarah said quickly, shaking her head. "Not yet. I don't want to escalate things until we know for sure what is happening." But we have to be smart about this, Greg interjected, his voice steady. If he is truly dangerous, we can't take any chances. The tension rose, filling the air thick with apprehension. Sarah inhaled deeply, feeling the warmth of support surrounding her but also the icy grip of fear tightening around her chest. She knew they had to refocus. Let us concentrate on our next steps, she prompted, trying to bring the group back to the urgent mission at hand. We have to make this community stronger. It might not just be for us anymore, it could be for everyone here who has been affected. A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. Laura nodded, her resolve unwavering. Right. We stand together. That's our strength. We can't let fear dictate our actions. Mia reached out to grasp Sarah's hand, squeezing it gently. Whatever happens, we're not alone. We won't let him scare us into silence. With renewed determination, they gathered around a large table littered with papers, markers, and coffee cups. Ideas began to flow again, each suggestion igniting a sense of community. Let us plan a neighborhood meeting, right here, Laura suggested passionately. We can invite everyone to share their stories. We need to know that this affects not just us, but our entire community. Awesome idea. Mia chimed in, her eyes alight with hope. And we can set up a safety network, share tips on what to do if we notice anything suspicious. Just as the energy in the room was building, Greg interrupted, his face suddenly falling. Wait, do you hear that? The others turned, their hearts racing as they strained to listen. A low rumble, like an engine, could be heard outside. The shadow at the window seemed to flicker, shifting slightly as if retreating. Then, silence. Maybe it's just the wind, Sarah ventured, though there was no settling dread in her stomach, but before anyone could respond, the door to the community center burst open, startling everyone. A breathless neighbor, eyes wide with panic, stepped inside. There is something strange going on outside. I think your shadow man is back. Fear danced across the faces around Sarah, and she could feel her own heart race in response. The chipper atmosphere of cooperation turned tense and anxious with every word. They all turned to Sarah. What do we do now? She could almost feel the weight of their fears pouring down on her. It was a heavy crown, one she hadn't asked for yet had no choice but to wear. Now we prepare, Sarah said, her voice trembling but growing stronger as the words spilled forth. We need to stay vigilant. And we'll face it together. As they clustered together, a renewed sense of purpose filled the room. They weren't just fighting for themselves anymore, it was for everyone who had ever felt helpless in the face of fear. What if this fight against an unseen threat was the beginning of something even bigger, something that could change their lives forever? And as Sarah looked around at her friends, she felt a new strength building within her. The battle was not just about survival, it was about resilience and empowerment, but as the door swung closed behind the neighbor, the tension didn't fade. Would their determination be enough to face the shadow that loomed just outside their walls? The sunlight cascaded through the windows, illuminating the room with warmth, but shadows clung stubbornly at the edges. Sarah stood among her friends, the weight of responsibility pressing down hard on her shoulders. They were filled with courage, yet fear lingered like a dark cloud overhead. What do we do? The neighbor asked, her voice shaking, eyes darting toward the door. Let's mobilize, Sarah declared, her voice rising above the nervous chatter. We need to organize ourselves. Everyone here has a role to play. Mia jumped in, yes. We need to create a communication system, phones, texts, anything we can use to alert each other quickly. It'll work if we stick together, Sarah added, a flicker of hope igniting in her heart. They began crafting a plan, hands flying over papers, ideas volleying back and forth. Sarah felt a pulse of energy sweep through the room, fueling her determination. They were not just individuals anymore, they were a unified force. How about we start a community watch? Greg suggested, and that idea took root quickly. Each person would take turns quietly patrolling the area, looking out not just for threats, but also for ways to support one another. It was simple yet monumental. "Let us make flyers," someone called from the back. "We can stick them on lampposts, make everyone aware of what is happening, and encourage them to join us." "Yes," Sarah exclaimed, her heart soaring. They would spread the word. They would empower others to join their fight, to reclaim their neighborhood from fear. As the group brainstormed, the atmosphere shifted, tension dissipating with each shared idea. Sarah's gaze flickered to the door. What if the shadow figure returned? But doubt no longer held its grip. Instead, she felt conviction wash over her. They could face whatever came together. "Can we also use social media?" Mia suggested, and suddenly they were filled with a rush of technological hope. "We can share our story and rally support from beyond our community." "Absolutely," Greg nodded, eyes sparking with excitement. "Let us show the world what we're doing here." They crafted hashtags on their phones, creating a digital rallying cry. Each message sent a ripple through the community, and with every like, comment, and share, they felt a wave of solidarity wash over them. "Let us get to work." Sarah rallied, and the buzz of activity filled the room, voices rising in excitement. But just as they began to distribute duties, the door swung open again. Everyone stopped. Caught in the tumult of cooperative excitement, the new figure that stepped inside was unexpected. "Hello, everyone," Dr. Laura said, striding confidently, arms open wide. "I have news. I just left a meeting with community leaders, and something amazing is happening." An electric thrill laced through the room. Laura shared that the collective efforts of Sarah and her team had already caught the attention of local officials. They were not only getting support for the campaign, they would organize a community meeting to discuss safety, resources, and healing, engaging with the very leaders needed to rekindle transformative change. "Are you serious?" Sarah asked, heartbeat quickening. "That's not all," Laura continued, her expression brightening. "The media wants to cover our story. They've seen the hashtags, and they want in." Gasps filled the air, and for a moment, the weight of the threats outside seemed to vanish. This was their moment, a culmination of resilience paved through connection. Just then, her phone vibrated. The notification from the community watch group had arrived, alerting them that the shadow figure had been spotted near the park. "Stay focused," Greg said, quickly bringing everyone back to the present. "We need to move." Sarah felt adrenaline surge as the plans shifted into action. She glanced over her shoulder at Ethan, who was happily playing with crayons at the table, blissfully unaware of the whirlwind spinning around him. He was her anchor, her motivation. "All right, team," Sarah called, her newfound strength echoing with urgency. "Let us scatter. We'll set up patrols while spreading the news about our meeting. We'll take this fight to where it needs to be, front and center." They surged out into the street, energy pulsing, ready to reclaim their community. And as they walked towards the park, Sarah felt a veil lift. For the first time, she saw a path not only for herself but for all those who were struggling silently in the shadows. As they set out, a sense of purpose enveloped them. The winds shifted, guiding their steps swiftly away from fear, pushing them toward a new dawn. They would not let the shadows dictate their future. With every stride, their resolve crystallized. They would become a beacon of hope who stood strong together, fighting not just against one shadow, but for the many suns rising across their community. And as they moved into the light, Sarah felt everything fall into place. Transformation was no longer a distant thought, it was unfolding before her very eyes. Let this be the start, she thought. For her little boy and for the families who needed to feel safe. They were in this together, and they would not back down. And the shadows? They would simply have to watch the light grow. This is where the story began blossoming into something greater. Now is the moment for you to take action. You need to subscribe immediately to ensure you don't miss any of our upcoming exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this community thriving. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this journey. Your voice matters. And if you truly believe in this transformation, share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see what we can achieve together. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our channel through these actions.